appreciate are good ISSA member stories. And today, for our ISSA Impact series, we're going to visit with two gentlemen, Frank and Glenn Laurentius, with the Consensus Group. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, sir. Very well, Jeff. Thank you.
Glad to have you to tell your story, a good success story, and we love those, and we'll learn from them. So let's get right into our questions. And why don't we just do this? Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us about your company, the history, and how you got to where you're at today.
Sure. My name is Frank Laurentius with the Consensus Group, family business. I have been working in the industry, in our industry, from my 17th, 18th year on. I was, as a European boy, went to North America, first to Canada, where I became a janitor, cleaning floors, doing floor care out of Ontario, because my father had some friends there that owned a cleaning company. And that's how I enrolled into the life of facility management, hygiene, if you will, ISSA. And as I was in that mode for a few months, then I started to work in North America, or in America rather than Canada. My boss scored a big tender for some very big retail outlets in Windsor, and we had to drive every night from London, Ontario, Strathroy, Ontario. We had to drive every night to Windsor. So we drove through Detroit, Renaissance Center, 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours back. We did all the floors there, and I got introduced into high-speed, ultra-high-speed floor care. At that time, propane was introduced in the US by a company name was Pioneer Eclipse, and Bill Wilson was the owner. So we got into this business partially through that, and as I got to know more about the floor care, my father and I both went to Las Vegas to the trade show of ISSA. And that's where we met up with all the people that were involved. We met up with Pioneer Eclipse. I've met up with one of their biggest distributors at that time. That was Mr. Jerry Smith. Unfortunately, he's not around anymore, but he was a big mentor. And he used to buy his chemicals later on in America, in Merton, Wisconsin, from Essential Industries. And then he sort of introduced me to Ross Mascari from Essential Industries. So this is how I got involved. In 1987, however, I will never forget, it was somewhere in October, we enrolled and registered to become an ISSA member. And that was my first show in North America. And at the end of that show, Jerry Smith said to me, "You speak your languages, you're a young American kid. Why don't you join me, come to California with me?" Because he was operating from Santa Ana, Fountain Valley, Santa Ana. And I actually went with him. So I stayed 5.5 months and spent time with him, assembling machines, taking care of service calls. I did meetings with Target stores, executives joined him. I did floor care demonstrations. I was lucky enough to be at a seminar where some old names, but famous names in the industry, were giving seminars. Maurice Dixon, Oscar Coupel. So I was very, as a young man, very inspired by all this, and that's how I enrolled in my business. My father had a distribution business, and that's how I joined him.
Good story. And Glenn, how'd you get a job here?
Well, being raised in this industry, besides rolls of toilet paper and jugs of chemicals, the cleaning industry got into my blood, and I started working with my father when I finished school. Then I moved to another company for a while to really do the cleaning. I became a cleaner. I did some special cleaning programs, specialized floor cleaning, facade cleaning, window washing, but also other things like I used to wash super yachts, private jets, specialize myself in the industry. And after that, I joined my father in the distribution company, had a lot of trainings by well-known brands in the industry that we used to resell to cleaning contractors, big end users, and so on. And that's how I started until where we are now.
You clean yachts and airplanes.
Yes, he did.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I knew how you got here. I just had to ask that question. Yeah. Family
Yeah, of
business.
course.
Family businesses are great. So the Consensus Group is an ISSA member organization. We talked about that and why you joined. I'd like to talk about how it's really impacted your success being part of ISSA. Can you speak to that?
Sure. First of all, visiting the shows opened up a lot of doors for us in terms of technology, systems, concepts, but even a lot of sales skills that were shared with us from the names that I just mentioned. So we joined some seminars, we joined some private nights with these guys, went out to dinner with them during and around the show or prior to the show, or we would visit. We've done a lot of business with quite some international ISSA members. We distributed a long time machines for NSS from Toledo, Ohio, very nice company. We worked very nicely with Essential Industries. Over the years, you get to know a lot of people in the industry. Got to know John Beer, which was with ABM at that time. So we met a lot of friends, learned a lot, were inspired by that, or took some concepts back to let's say, continental Europe, and tried to introduce those systems or technology here in our world. So that's been a big contribution, but also to be part of a group which stands for making this world safer, cleaner, a better place, a nicer place for people to live and work in, was like a mission that both my oldest son and myself stood for. So we actually sold our distribution business 5 years ago, and Consensus, being a facility management company from origin, which I had already from 1999, is what we now focused on for the last 5 years. And a lot of the knowledge that we've gained over the years, we're actually using every day. And we still are sharing a lot of our knowledge with people around Europe now.
Yeah. So very cool. Anything to add to that, Glenn? Or
through ISSA, you get to know other systems. We visit several shows in the world, and we see that different systems are being used all around the world. For example, there is a different level of service in America. Different products are being used there, like here in Europe. Here are other brands bigger than that they are in US. And having this knowledge let you introduce also new systems to local markets.
Innovations.
Yes, and innovation. It opens doors. Plus, there is also a lot going on in the industry itself, with labor, the impact of people, sustainability goals, which is very important nowadays. How is the impact on the other side of the ocean? How is it here? Having discussions with the people you know from the industry, sharing ideas, sharing goals, making the world safer and cleaner.
Very nice. Well, you mentioned innovation yourself, so let's talk about that. Let's talk innovation. Can you speak to what you do for the world with hygiene, health, and more?
Yes, if I may go back a little bit, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Like I said before, we introduced Pioneer Eclipse in Europe. That was an ultra high-speed floor care system coming from US with ultra high-speed equipment with pros and cons, but that nobody had ever seen before. So we were able to bring our customers here tremendous savings, not only in labor, but also in chemical usage, spillage, let's say floor care coatings that were less needed to be stripped and recoated, etc., etc. So that's how it all sort of started. But there's also been a lot of European, let's say, innovations, which we've also embraced. We were the first ones to take on Pulex, which was a manufacturer of rubber squeegees at the time. Or we've done non-wovens, impregnated cloths. My father actually even exhibited at the ISSA a few times in the US to bring those from Europe over there at that time. Think of microfiber. Think of our own technology that we really embrace right now. It's the aqueous ozone technology. So we're very focused on cutting chemicals where we can, or making it safer for people to use. So this is a lot of innovations all along the way that we were able to pick up through being ISSA member, through our network that we've built, and also that we maintain, because we have a lot of friends, fortunately, internationally in this field, and we maintain those relationships. And then, you know, people, it's a people's game. You share thoughts, you build ideas, and you build concepts, and you sell them.
So Glenn, let's talk about the company mission. What can you say to that?
Well, our mission is to provide our current and future generations with solutions and systems that create a safer and healthier world to live in, not only now, but also for the next generations, and to create impact into the industry.
Do I hear a junior Laurentius coming on the way?
Perhaps.
Now, wait a second. Is this news we're breaking?
I think we are.
No.
Well, if so, we heard it here first, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Very good, gentlemen. Let's talk about your people, your employees, your staff. They're an integral part of your success, I would think.
Absolutely.
How did you build your team?
Well, when I sold my distribution business 5 years ago, we sort of had a restart, and I was doing for many years business friends with Rob Boele, which is my partner, and so it's Glenn's partner. But he's playing golf right now. Cut that out, but he's playing golf, so it could be here. But anyway, so him and I, we restarted, sort of repositioned Consensus Group. And he had a corporate life because he was a commercial director for a very large company. I had been taken over by a large corporate company. And, you know, when I'm 51, turning 52, and you're at a stage, I've got 4 children, he has 2, and he's 56. So 5 years ago, we looked at each other and said, you know, we've been in the industry quite long. We know what we want. We know what we don't want. So we've asked at that time Glenn also to join us in repositioning Consensus Group, because that would be the new vehicle. It was existing, but we would reposition it. And then we said, what we really don't want to do anymore is do a lot of the corporate stuff. We really want to be free to innovate, to follow our beliefs, not being held back by all strategical politics, etc. So we said, okay, we'll start small, and we'll do something that, like Glenn just said, that has impact at our industry, and we will do that with the people in a way where we will, let's say, treat them as equally ours, and really building a team spirit. Our company is called Consensus. It means we always, look for consensus. We do not. There is not a lot of hierarchy in our company. Like in a lot of companies, you'll see in presentations that's all let's say top to bottom. We don't do that. If we present ourselves in our presentation, you'll see a circle, and it's not Rob and me on the top. It's all scattered. We're a team. We're owners, but we work as a team. Each individual brings unique talent to the team. They have to develop themselves. They have to feel free and comfortable. And we've mostly said what we want to do has to be fun. We want to work hard, have fun, and try to do as good as a job we can for our customers.
Very good. Glenn, anything to add to that?
Yes. We present ourselves with the rebranding of the company nowadays as game changers in hygiene and health and hospitality and happiness. And the reason why we did that, and we still do, is because we really want to change something in the industry. And as I said before, we want to create impact, which means that the team members also need to think free. We don't block them in any way. They need to be creative to change something, and
free to execute.
Yes, and if you do that, people, your staff comes, or your team comes with ideas where you haven't thought of.
And they want to join your company. Like there's a war on talent. To be this month alone, we've hired 2 other people, and there's been a lot of choices. People want to work with us because they like the way we do business. We do things differently, not only in words, but we actually execute it in that way. Mm-hmm. And people notice that, and they say, "Oh, well, but you're not so conventional." No, that's true. We're not, and we don't want to be. We're game changers, and that's we got to put the D to the word. Not only proclaim it, but do it.
Yeah. So when your competition looks in at what you're doing, do they copy you, imitate you, or just say, "I can't do that"? What do you think?
No, in some ways they do copy us, which is a very big compliment. Like Coco Chanel always said, it's the biggest compliment you can get. And it sort of inspires us to think of the next way to be different again and ahead of the game. So it's actually quite cool that happens. Yes.
Competition is good.
Yes.
Is good.
Sure.
Is important.
Keeps us sharp too. Keeps us.
If you want to have competition, it would take off the focus.
Plus, we also learn from the competition. It's not that we know it all. You try to.
Like that's a humble thing to say and a smart thing to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, what we also believe, Jeff, is, and what we're actually doing in some cases, you can also work in co-creation with a competitor to make a customer stronger. Sometimes this happens in life, and even we're open to do that.
Absolutely.
Because that's where it's all about. The end user, the customer, asks for more transparency, more knowledge, and if you can combine that also by partnering or teaming up with each other, in some cases, and respect each other, that would makes the industry and the world easier and better.
And we'll have more impact.
Yeah.
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 Well, Frank and Glenn, I have one more question. When you think about your entire organization and the years coming, what excites you the most?
The way technology is having influence on our industry, and I mean all technology, not only the robots, but there's a lot of tech out there. We just had the Interclean in Amsterdam, and there's a lot of innovations, a lot of people doing smart things. So I foresee, let's say, a huge wave of technology coming more and more into our industry and changing the game. Again, we're very appealed to game-changing concepts, so we will adapt those, and we're going to have some exciting times in which we can really make a big difference, helping customers with that technology and embracing new ideas. Don't we?
Yeah. Truly agree. And
we have an example. Would you like to?
Yeah, well, we have introduced lately a very, well, it's really a innovation and a new product. Started from last year. Actually, it started from Corona, and this company produced a self-disinfecting door handle with a IT solution in it that you can follow on a dashboard how many times the door handle has been used. You can follow the cartridge level, the battery level. The cleaner gets a notification when the cartridge needs to be replaced. You can even see on this dashboard what the frequencies are of the door being used. Imagine a washroom that you can follow not only how many times the door has been used in a washroom, but also at what time. So first of all, you solve an issue, which is using your elbow to open a door, which is a problem for all of us in the world. People don't feel comfortable with touching door handles, most of them. And this solution solves that, but it also gives you a lot of information and technology to adjust your cleaning contract, for example. So it's about combining technologies, information, data, which makes it easier.
Has big impact.
Yeah.
Big impact. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, the Consensus Group is a growing, successful company. Innovation is part of what you do. I thank you both for your time today.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff.
What's fun to do.
And looking forward to meeting you in Chicago again.
So you're coming over?
Yes.
All right. We'll see you there.
Yes.